Are you thinking about moving to Kelowna? Well, I'm going to go over the top 11 reasons in this video of things you need to know before moving to Kelowna. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on future videos of living here in Kelowna. So in this video, we're going over the top 11 things to know before moving here to Kelowna. So it's going to be the good, the bad, a little bit of the ugly, but overall, no matter how you slice it, I love living here. But reach out, pick up that phone, give me a call so we can talk about what living in Kelowna might mean to you, depending on your life circumstances, your life situation, because that can definitely impact it. If you're a husband and wife with kids, or if you're just a single person, it's going to really differ on how you experience Kelowna. So pick up that phone, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. I got your back, and let's go over this. All right, so we're going to go into it. So number one is the great weather. So some would argue with the great weather, if you don't really like the hot, well, you're not going to necessarily like the summers. Or if you're a type of person that is not really, likes the gray, cloudy, and that really gets you down, well, you might not like the winters. But overall, Kelowna, and why I especially love Kelowna, and what really draws a lot of people, is because we do have some of the best weather, but we also get all 4 seasons. We have the hot summers where it's 30, upwards of 40 degrees, and you get that really dry heat type of situation. Then you also have the winters where it can be dark and gray and snowy, right, for the month of December. But overall, looking at it, the overall great weather it's really between the hot summers and the mild winters. For me, it's really a good place to live because it does have all the 4 seasons. So you can still get out, go to the outdoor skating rink in the winter. You can still go hike in the mountain in the winter, but you can also go visit Big White and go skiing some of the world's best ski resorts there in the winter. So you can really get out and do a lot of things throughout the entire year in BC, in the Okanagan especially. So number one is, even though it is a hot and dry, the sunny summers, but some people don't like it. So, it really depends on the type of person. Overall, I think it's just the perfect mix for us in our lifestyle. The number 2 thing to know is it does come with the work-life balance. So it's work, you live, you work, and you can play. So you can go to the mountains. Obviously, you have to do your work, whether it's 8 to 5, you'll have your commute times there, but depending on where you're moving from, depending on where you're looking to, you can expect the average commute to be around 30 minutes, 45 minutes if you're coming at rush hour from, say, Glen Rosa in West Kelowna. So it is a very cut down time frame on really how you can really go ahead of it, but you get to enjoy nature. So you can go out. You don't have to spend a ton of time trying to get to the mountains, because a lot of times the mountains are literally in your backyard, or you're living in it. Maybe you just want to go for a run, go for a walk, that sort of thing. Get out into nature, head down to the beach, go for a swim. You can do that all. And so Kelowna does come with that live, work, life balance, but also that play component as well. So number 3 is the school education. So if you're a university age student, there are great opportunities for you. Whether you go to UBCO, which is a subsidiary of UBC from Vancouver, and they have the campus here, and they're really expanding their downtown campus in the next couple of years, where it's going to be just really exploding because of enrollment and the height of enrollment. You also have Okanagan College if you're into the trades. So if you're a nurse, or if you're into a trade, mechanics, that sort of thing, there are a lot of different opportunities here in the Okanagan for you, maybe for your kids in school education fields. All right, and the number 4 thing to know is really it has a small community feel. So depending on the city you're coming from, city of Kelowna is about 140,000 people. It is growing, but with this Kelowna Lake Country in the central Okanagan, all the way from Peachland and West Kelowna, all that area is roughly around to 220,000 people living in it. So it really depends on the type of size community you're used to, but Kelowna does typically have a smaller community feel. So there's, the old adage where 3 degrees of separation, everybody seems to know somebody that, if you've been here long enough. So they're really friendly from my experience. You can find that in certain areas, the downside of certain areas is people can be a little bit cliquey. and not necessarily welcome you directly into the friends group, but for the most part, that is time and time. So you have to find your groove and your people, but that is definitely something that it does have that small town feel, where it can be good or bad depending on how you look at it, and if you have a group you can kind of fit in with, or if you have people that you already know living here. But if you're moving out here on your own, it might take you a little bit more time to acclimatize. If you don't have a group set, or necessarily a group that you're already going into it, or a community that you can get involved with. So just get out in the community, start connecting with like-minded people, and no doubt you'll find your tribe, and you guys it'll just go seamless after that. So Kelowna has been number 5 here is Transient. So a lot of people coming in, a lot of people going out. So there's a lot of high demand, and a lot of people, just want to move here. And sometimes they only move here for a short period of time. Cost of living in Kelowna is higher. Maybe you just can't find, like on the previous one, you just couldn't find your community. You couldn't find your tribe that you wanted to connect with, or you couldn't connect. So a lot of in and outs, but that also factors in on the business side of things, where some businesses, because there's not a ton of employment here, there's lots of employment opportunities, but a good portion of the working population here, they're all self-employed. So we start to see smaller businesses come and go and that sort of thing. So it does, the transient nature of it does make it a little bit issues of trying to find the quality workers. Good quality workers, especially in the trades, is really tough to find these days. So if you are in the trades and you do quality work, reach out, because I can get you in contact with a lot of different developers, builders, that sort of thing, that are really looking for trades. Despite not having everything right here in the central Okanagan, number 6 is Kelowna is close to all the major centers. And you know what? You're just a plane ride with the international airport here, quick jet to anywhere really you want to go to. So, but Kelowna is really caught in between. So about 4 hours from Vancouver. So if you want to go to a Canucks game, maybe if you want to go fly out to an international place, maybe you have friends, family, just go visit the coast for a weekend for a concert, that sort of thing. Kelowna doesn't have that big town feel where you get a lot of those events coming into the Okanagan. It is getting better, but we just don't have the population. So if you need to go to IKEA, unfortunately, you either have to order it online or do a pickup in Vancouver. That being said, so about a 4-hour drive to Vancouver, so you do have pretty close. It's tough, and it gets a little sketchy in the winter, but it is pretty close to be able just to get everything you need. Just a quick drive to Vancouver, or it's just an 8-hour. If you want to go if you're a Flames fan, if you're coming from Calgary, it's about an 8-hour drive to Calgary. So, and for those, it's really just, you just get in the car and go, and you're here and there in a day type of situation. So it makes it pretty easy access to the rest of Canada. But also flights are only 45 minutes really to Vancouver. It's about a half an hour actually from Vancouver, but it takes longer to board and unboard than it takes to fly. And about, an hour to Calgary. So really you have a lot of different opportunities, and it's just really quick access to the rest of Canada. Number 7, and we touched on this before, is the job market. So we don't necessarily have a huge working population here in Kelowna. A lot of it's in tourism and agriculture. And we also have a number of different things in the tech center, number of different employment, also in the aerospace industry. So there's a number of different industries that really employ here in Kelowna. So we do have a really strong job market, but a lot of the other job market is also self-employed people. But Kelowna has one of the top unemployment rates, so the lowest unemployment rates, especially compared to the rest of Canada, at 4.5%. Versus where Canada was sitting at 7.7%. Or Kelowna is definitely a little bit lower, doing a little bit better than average on the remainder of Canada. So there's definitely a lot of pros with the job market here, and a lot more opportunities as they come in. Bigger cities, bigger towns, bigger businesses are moving to the Okanagan because it is a little bit cheaper than some of the other bigger centers like Vancouver or Toronto. But you still have that balance where people do want to live and are willing to live because of the weather, the nature, the lake, everything that Okanagan has going for it. All right, so number 8 is affordability. And some of you are going to tear me to pieces with affordability. Can be either a pro or a con. It really depends on where you're coming from, where you're moving from, what you're used to. So just take everything with a grain of salt with the affordability factor, because it really depends on where you're coming from. And some of the gaps are closing and continuing to close with inflation. And there is a supply chain constraint, especially here in the Okanagan. In the last fall, we had the floods wash out the highway, that where we get a lot of our shipments coming from Vancouver, and that highway was washed out. So we had to kind of divert, and cost increase in goods, right? But overall, affordability in Kelowna really depends on where you're moving. If you're moving from Calgary, definitely going to be more expensive than Calgary, Saskatchewan, Regina, Saskatoon, probably Manitoba too as well. You're going to start to see a lot more higher cost of goods. Gas prices are going to be more, and everything really will be a little bit more. That being said, if you are coming from Vancouver, you're going to see a little depreciation on that. You're going to see a little bit of a gap there where it is actually more affordable to live in Kelowna, and that's where we're seeing a lot of people, whether it's housing, people can find more affordable housing compared to what you can find in Calgary, in Vancouver, and also Toronto. So we're seeing a lot of people move from the east to the west, and choosing the Okanagan really as a place because of everything it has going for it, but also because it is a little bit more affordable than some of the other areas, so you can put some more money in your pocket. Another thing to know about Kelowna is it's a sprawl city. So number 9 is being a sprawl city that they're trying to change a little bit more, but historically Kelowna is a sprawl city, so you need a car. And the lights and the traffic systems that are set up right now is a little bit left to be desired on that. So I'm biting my tongue right now. I don't know if you can feel it, but it is awful driving sometimes. Lights, stop, start on the highway, right? So there's not really a good merge lanes or anything like that. No clean highway driving. It's a lot of stop starts. So if you are commuting, you definitely need a car. Some of the transit, depending on where you live, might be good, might be bad, depending on where you live and where you need to go. But definitely look into it. Kelowna is a sprawl city. It's getting better, and we're going a little bit higher density in the downtown areas. However, for the most part, if you're looking for a single family home, you're going to need a car, especially if you're a family. Coming down to number 10, which is the services industry. So based on some high demand, there's a lot of people that some areas of Kelowna are underserviced. So doctors, childcare centers are just a few of areas where there are a lack of, and we don't quite have enough, because we have an aging population here, and there's just not enough of people here. So if you are looking to move here and you need a doctor and a family doctor, it's best just to get onto the wait list right now and really try and figure that out before you move here. And also, if you're in the childcare, if you need childcare, that's one thing to also get on the wait list as soon as possible, just to make sure you cut down on some of that additional time on what you might be waiting for until you can actually get your client in it, if you can get your kid into it, or if you can get into a doctor, whatever you need. And the last but not least is wages. So it kind of goes in with the cost of living, but take a look at my other cost of living video for 2022. But wages are typically a little bit lower in Kelowna compared to other cities. So when you're looking at the wages, it really comes down to supply and demand. Well, Kelowna is a desirable place, so we do typically get a lot more supply of people looking to work here. And that's where a lot of people move into the self-employed industry, just because the wages aren't paying enough. Because you do have a higher supply, the demand is relatively about the same, well, then they charge a little bit less for wages and that sort of thing, just because Kelowna is a little bit more desirable. A lot of people want to live here and work here. So it's really not the best place if you're looking for a super high wage. But if you are in the self-employed area, then you can get into it and definitely make up some of that.